Hi makeup artists. I assume if you've clicked on this video, you are either thinking about buying an airbrush, have already bought an airbrush, or have been doing airbrush for years and trying to figure out what this 18-year-old kid has to bring to the table. The short answer for that last one is not much, but I have been doing this for about a year and a half and do think I have some valuable beginner tips that I would have liked to know when I started out. I'm going to go over some of the supplies I have that I just recently upgraded to. I'm also going to go over some of the beginner supplies that I had and some of the troubles I had with them, how to get past those, and why I think you should probably upgrade in the near future. After that, I'm going to actually put some paint on my face, quit talking about airbrush, and start doing it. I'm basically just going to go over some starter techniques or just a basic look that you can start all your other looks and expand off that from. That being said, let's dive right in and take a look at some of my equipment. Alright, here we are with the airbrush up close. This is the Iwata HP CS. It's about $100 and it's a nice gravity feed. My main reason for suggesting the gravity feed over the siphon feed is clogging issues, because with airbrush, clogging is inevitable. It's one of the unfortunate parts, but it's just going to happen. The reason that the gravity feed makes a difference is if it's clogging, there's only one place it's clogging, right here, where your airline meets your paint. There's no other place. With the siphon feeds, it can either be in your bottle, it can be in the connector piece, or it can be somewhere in the nozzle. And I just really like the, it's easy to troubleshoot, and I just find it doesn't clog up that much. Alright, one of the trickiest parts about airbrushing is getting your nozzle placement correctly. What I mean by that is this downward makes it shoot air, and pulling it back, it basically pulls away, I don't know if you can see it, but it pulls away the needle, and so the farther you pull back, the wider your spray is going to be. So it's really hard at the beginning to get your finger control down. You're going to have a lot of fat lines when you start out, but that's all just a process, so I'll try to demonstrate that. See, just pulling back just that little bit makes a thinner line, whereas if I just pull it all the way back, that's gonna be your thick line. You're also gonna waste a lot of paint, so you want to avoid doing that. But you'll get it down. It's not really extremely hard once you get the hang of it. And as always, just keep your hand moving. There's a lot of other videos on how to spray an airbrush, so I won't really get into it. I'm just letting you guys know that this directly affects how big it is, and it's going to take some time and finesse to get that down. But like I said, there's a ton of other videos on that, so. Okay, and another example of things I didn't know when I started out. I understood that when you pull it back, that's where you get your thicker line, and when you leave it forward, that's where you get your thinner line. But the space you are from your surface you're spraying on also depends how thick and thin. So it's a very hard mix of how far to pull back and how close to be, because, you know, if I'm far enough away and pull it back just a little bit, that's a pretty thick line. Whereas if I pull it back the same amount and I'm closer, that's a way thinner line. So it's a hard balance, and I didn't know how much it related. It's especially hard if you practice like me on your own face. Sometimes it's really hard to see in the mirror and try to, you know, keep that consistent distance away. There's no other way than just to practice. Like, it gets frustrating because you'll have lines that start out super thin and then they'll go fat all the way to it's frustrating, but it's just a muscle memory thing. You just have to drive that home. Hi, it's me again. I'm looking less pretty than before. Or more pretty, depending on what you're into. I won't judge. Anyways, we're going to start putting some makeup on. I'm not going to do a specific look. I probably won't look that different when I'll look different, but I'm just going to show you some areas that I like to hit, you know, some techniques that can really get you started. This is going to be an easy tutorial for like a base for all of your looks if you need to, if you're doing stuff fast. It's just going to be a very gaunted out, like, dead face. Alright, so the first thing I use is alcohol-based makeup, which I have right here, conveniently wrapped with duct tape. The reason I do this is because often when you're working fast and you're cleaning and stuff, your hands get wet, and I've dropped a full bottle of makeup and it doesn't feel good. So I just start wrapping these with duct tape. But yeah, these are alcohol based. I use alcohol based over water based because, yet again, of just clogging issues and ease. You can tell how used this has been. It's Maron liquid. You can mix it with water until it gets to a milky consistency, and it works well. It's just a little inconsistent, a little too inconsistent for me. And so I'm just going to spend the extra money where I can and pick up the alcohol base because it just shoots so smooth. I would really recommend it once you start to get more comfortable. Use water base when you're starting out, because when you're a makeup artist, you're just going to burn through it at the start. You're going to practice and stuff. And really, for practicing on yourself, if you do like me, you're just going to take it off at the end of the night anyways. But once you start to get into being a makeup artist for the haunt or something, or where you need a haunt applicable makeup, I recommend alcohol because it doesn't sweat off. And I know that's a huge problem for a lot of actors and why they can't use airbrush usually. So for practice, water works great. It's a little inconsistent, but it's fine when you're practicing. But when you need to go fast and you're hitting, you need to be doing makeups at 15 minutes per interval, it's so much easier just to have the alcohol based, and it lasts all night. And so that's why I would recommend alcohol over. So the hardest part of doing a look is starting the look. Now, when I started out, I didn't try and copy other people's work. And there's nothing against that when you start out, as long as, you're not claiming it as your own, and, you're being respectful with usage rules. It's a really good way to just watch a tutorial and, copy that person's work. My problem with that is there's not many airbrush tutorials on it, like specific looks. There's a lot of, your latex, you have the gross mouth, the stitched mouth, the ones everyone does when they start out. But there's not a lot for airbrush, and so you're kind of left in this open space. I will try to get some specific look airbrush tutorials out so that you guys can follow along. You can try the look out for yourself. And then once you get better at those, you can, evolve your own style. Personally, I don't really know what I'm going to do before I start the character usually. I just, do my basics, and then I have a general theme that I want, and I just kind of make decisions based on what that theme would fit, and it somehow works out and looks nice just about every time. Just about. But I'm going to show you guys kind of like my base example of what I would do for if I was completely lost on a character. So you would want to start out with your face paled, just spray it down with white. I don't need to show you how to do that. I don't have it done right now, because I had black in and I don't want to waste all of this black paint. And so I'm just going to kind of show you some of the techniques. So yeah, starting out, I don't even worry about thinking what I'm going to do. I just kind of do my base, and then as I start to, feel it become more comfortable with the airbrush, I just let it kind of take over. It's a weird method. It's alright to use reference pictures. There's a ton of really good reference pictures. So many talented airbrush artists out there. Just, having something to look out to kind of see, like, ooh, I like the veining on the side of the face. Don't necessarily look at their work and be like, I want that on my face. Just see, like, bits and pieces of it. Like, oh, I like how they did the eyebrows. And you can really piece together some super cool stuff that looks super original. Because it is super original. You just took small bits from other inspirations. So first thing you're gonna do, I usually start with the temples. For me, they're pretty easy to see. I kind of have a skinny face, and so especially if you clench your back teeth, you can see an indent right there. I try to keep these pretty light to start out with, so I'll just kind of, it's like a half circle, just to kind of lay it out. So I'll show you that now. Alright, the hardest part about temples is getting them even, but if they're not perfect, it doesn't really matter. So do you see just how I kind of did this semicircle, and then another semicircle? We don't need to fill them in or anything, just do that for now, because all we're doing is blocking out the face right now. Next thing I'm going to do is the eyes. The eyes, it depends what kind of look you want, but I'm just going to gaunt them out, and so trying to add some shadow under and over, and just trying to make it look more sunk in. So this would be like your most basic, just raccoon eyes. I wouldn't recommend this for every look, and I definitely wouldn't recommend it in black. Purple is a really good color to use here, or red. A red tone is really nice because it looks irritated and it like looks crazy. But for the purpose of the tutorial, I'm just kind of showing you what the spray pattern would look like. Just feel free to substitute whatever color you feel like is necessary. So usually with that, my eyebrows aren't very scary, and so what I like to do is I like to fill them in a little bit. It's pretty easy, so. Boom. See that? We went from really poor teenage boy eyebrow to scary brow. So that's just an easy thing you can do because facial expressions can do you wonders. So having those eyebrows to accentuate that. Oh, I am Mr. Eyebrows now. But that's something you can do. What you can also do is if you want to completely get rid of your eyebrows, you can bring the makeup up into it. So just like that, I've made a complete eye well, and it completely gets rid of my eyebrow. So it's an interesting look. So yes, just like that. And like I said, black is the most extreme. I usually wouldn't use a lot of this for this purpose because this is our base layer that a lot of other details are going to go on top of. But just to show you guys the spray pattern, I am using the black. If you do still want this black look, I would suggest going gray, and you can go heavier where you want to. But like I said, I need to show you where the spray patterns are. The next thing I usually do is I hit the jawline. I've been blessed with a pretty decent jawline, but it's still nice to make it just a little bit sharper. Super quick, super inaccurate spray, but you can see it pulls up that jawline a little more, makes the face a little more prominent. So the next thing I'm gonna do is forehead. You just usually do, a little bit of a divot down. I don't really know what to describe it as, but just watch. Okay, so you can see here, it's just a little bit, it just, kind of fills that big white billboard space that we have, especially I have on my big old forehead. So it's just nice to, add some more of that gaunting. Next thing I'm going to do is the mouth. Usually just bring down the lips a little bit. Everyone has like naturally brighter lips, and so it's nice just to kind of deaden those out. So see, with just a little bit of light airbrushing on the lips, we've taken that color way down. And now we have a little bit of dead lips. The next thing I'm going to do is on the nose. If you hear me refer to billboard spaces, that's just big spaces that don't have any paint on them. And that's usually a problem because that pulls attraction. The highlights will lead people's eyes to it. So instead of seeing all of this awesome raccoon makeup I got going on, they're gonna focus on my cheeks that have nothing on them right now. So the nose is one of those. We're just gonna make it look a little thinner. I usually just go down the sides here. There's kind of a natural line if you follow straight down your nose from your eye socket right here until you get to these I don't even know what to call them. There's a little flare up, and then right there's a nice 90-degree angle, and that's kind of what you're gonna want to shallow out. So, all right, so just like that, do you see how much, you know, it's skinnied up my nose, and it adds more of the gaunting effect right here. So that's pretty good, but we need something under the nose or around the nose. You can either spray right here. You can do these lines. I'll just show you that right now. You can do lines like that just to make it more dramatic. Or you can do under the nose. I don't even know. It's just like a little bit of a shadowing, I guess. It's just a little bit of a circle. It looks like a shadow under the nose. Yeah, so you can do either of those, or you can do both too. So I'm just gonna do the same on the other side. So yeah, now you see the nose is like less prominent. There's, you know, it just looks more natural with the rest of the face. Another thing I would probably do is, like, these scowl lines right here are really nice to do. They're kind of tricky to get up close. You just kind of have to finesse it, and they're not going to be perfect. So yeah, I'm going to try and demonstrate this. So like I said, they're not going to be perfect, as you can see, but they give that nice furrowed look. So, you know, just adding those little details really helps kind of characterize your face a little more. Something that's easy, because the lips are good, but sometimes you want a little more. I don't know, I can do this, I don't know if other people can, but if you frown really big, those lines, those are sometimes really cool just to, you know, suggest the frown. So I just start out and kind of flick it. All right, we got a little heavy, but we're just gonna rub that off. And there you go. That's the nice thing about wet airbrush makeup, so you can just rub it off. So now you can see we have a suggested frown. I don't know if you can tell, but your mouth will fill with air if you're shooting air at it. And so one of my live stream watchers actually gave me the tip: clench your teeth and push your lips, like pull your lips right back on your teeth. It looks dumb, but if your makeup looks cool, it doesn't really matter anyways. But I can blow all the air I want into it, and it's not going to do anything. That's just a little tip. Okay, we have two options on the cheekbones. You can do the classic fishy face, and you can see that pulls right there. So you have two options, pretty much. You can either bring it down, or you can bring it up to make it like a really cheekbone-y look. I'm just gonna bring it down just to kind of show you, because that's like a more basic. So you can see right there, you know, it's just a little bit of a down curve. You can go sharper all the way down to the jaw, or you can go up, like I said, with the cheek. But I just like to do it a little subtle. Yeah, there we go. We can do the same on the other side. There we go. Now, as you can see, that really just brings in those cheekbones. We can do something on the chin here too, because it looks kind of awkward. And so I usually just do a little bit of a line just to kind of fill the space. Like I said, nothing too dramatic, just bringing out those creases and faces. Sometimes this area right up here gets a little, you know, gets a little blank. Usually I'll add veining, or you can even do, I don't know, they look like horns, but they're not supposed to look like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's basically what we did here, just up here. It gives a nice effect. Okay, so you see here, I don't really know what it is, but it adds a nice, you know, it keeps the sharpness to the face, and I like how it looks. I don't know what it's called. Don't question me, alright? One thing you can do is you can make your jawline even, like, make your face look even a little smaller by just cutting this little piece off here. So now if you look at me from the front, my face does look smaller. That's just a little thing you can do. On to the neck. I usually like to do, I don't know what this is called. It's where your Adam's apple is. Sorry, doctors. You guys are going to comment down below. But anyways, it's right here. And there's a nice, it's basically a U. And there's a nice natural U. That's what I like to hit. And I have a pretty, this is pretty inset for me. So I start down here and work my way up. Okay, it's a little lopsided, but it works. You get the idea. I'm just going to do some shading down here. And then I'm also going to do collarbone pockets. So. Okay, this side is a way better example. I messed up this side because I ran out of paint. But you see how it basically just makes that pocket pop. It's a nice little thing. What you can do is bring out the Adam's apple too. I like doing that sometimes. So yeah, just by, you know, bringing it out. And then you can even add some detail lines. Just to give some character to the neck. But this is pretty much it, I would say, for our basic look. You have, you know, all the gaunting areas. This is a real base layer that you can do, not with black. If you did this with a color like red or purple, or even a light green, brown too, you can just get so many nice looks just from this. Because, you know, say I want a really infected guy look, I would just go in here, go in there. These are really sloppy veins, but you can just add veins to the side of the face, and all of a sudden, with just some veins over this basic look, you have a new unique look. Like, this is just a very stepping stone place to go. And yeah, I hope you guys can, you know, pull some use from this.